Shalom, my friends. Welcome to this week's fellowship. I'm doing something quite different today. As I've said previously, I want to talk about Yom Teruah coming up next month, September 13, 14, and 15, also known as Rosh haShanah, the Feast of Trumpets. But we're not doing a word study. There will be links at the end of this video relative to things that I may bring up during this time together. And there may even be more links in the more info section below this video. Check there. For example, I have a video about Yom Teruah. I think another video about the 7 MOEDIM, Yahweh's Kodesh appointments with mankind. So all the biblical information, I'll bring that to you that way. But what I want to do today is something quite different. As I've said previously, I just want to have a sit down with you and share what has been running through my mind these past couple of months at least. And Luke chapter 12 verses 11 and 12 says that when they bring you before the synagogues, magistrates and authorities, don't be anxious beforehand how you might reply in defense, or don't be anxious about what you're going to say, because the ruach HaKodesh, the Father's dedicated Spirit, His indwelling presence, will teach you in that very hour and moment what you ought to say. Also, Matthew chapter 10, verses 19 and 20 says that when they deliver you up, do not be anxious about how or what you're going to speak, for what you are to say will be given you in that very hour and moment. For it is not you who are speaking, but the ruach of your Father speaking through you. Now, I pray before every video presentation I do, asking Abba Father to teach me to not plan my words, and to teach me and to show me how His ruach speaks through me when I do that. Now, generally, I do have plans, with every video. We're doing a word study. I have the audio, and I have some notes. But He always provides times in between things where He'll just He'll nudge me, and I'll go off and talk about something I had no idea I was going to do, and I just love when that happens. Well, that's what I want to do today, most of all. Yom Teruah, this coming September 13, 14, and 15, is Abba Father's Kodesh appointment with mankind. I believe for the Net Chatef, for the Rapture. Not saying that it's this year. No one knows the day or the hour. We know His Kodesh appointment, and I explain why in the other videos that are linked beneath this one in the more info section. I cover that there. But, every year Yom Teruah comes around, and I'm I've been anxious, and, well, maybe not anxious, but excited, hopeful that each year would be the year that we do go home. Now, certainly not so much so 10 or 15 years ago, but these past 5 to 7 years, very much so. And, because I see the world system coming to an end. It's only too obvious. Now, maybe to many it isn't, because another thing I see is that most people, almost everyone out there in the world, you can't talk to about these kind of things. They think you're a nut job. They think you're crazy. They think everything is normal. And, I'm sure a lot of you agree with me on this. I'm like, I can't understand. I can't understand. I've been listening to iHeartRadio. You can go to iHeart.com. And I've been listening to a station they have called My 50s. And I just started doing this, maybe the past 3 or 4 weeks. And, this is one thing that's really been hitting me. I mean, they play songs from the 50s into the early 60s. And for me, it's been a real treat, because these are the songs that were playing on the radio all the time when I was a young boy in my pre-teens. Now, I had forgotten many of them. And, if some of you have seen my video titled Alan's 14th birthday party, you can see me at that time in my life. And when I found that video and put it up on YouTube, I loved seeing it, because, man, it certainly was the most joyous time of my life. The happiest time of my life. First of all, because I was a young boy, I had no responsibilities. I had, no knowledge of things that are going on worldwide. It was a very innocent time. We were children. We were just having fun. But I've been listening to this My 50s on iHeartRadio. And it amazes me, these songs are so far gone. But they're all of them, they're so playful. They're so childlike. They're so innocent. And it just, it takes me back. And, I wonder, have people forgotten how much simpler, how much more innocent, how much more purity there was in things of the world even 10 years ago? 15 for sure. Things have changed so rapidly in the past 10 years. I stopped watching television. I got rid of my cable subscription some time ago, because there was nothing to watch. The news, as I call it, the lame stream of media is worthless. And then the television shows, like The Walking Dead, insane. So I knocked all that out. And I just went towards DVDs and Netflix, because I like movies, that I grew up watching, the old black and whites, with Jimmy Stewart, John Wayne, and recently I fell in love. I started watching The Rifleman. This was a half-hour black and white Western that I used to really enjoy watching when I was a young boy, because it was all about a young boy and his father, the two of them. His mother passed away when he was just very young, so it was just this guy and his son, and on a ranch, and he's raising his son. They quote scripture all the time, and I enjoy it because you're looking at horses and trees and mountains, and it's just more peaceful, as opposed to watching like The Walking Dead, or even anything that is in the city with violence and noise, and I just don't want any of that anymore. But what I'm getting at is it amazes me to look and see how most people don't see the world falling apart. I mean, for me, it's over with. It's completely over with. I mean, anything you buy in a supermarket is unhealthful. Doesn't matter what it is. Recently, I got some milk. It comes in a glass jar. It's not. I don't even think it's homogenized. It's certainly not pasteurized, and it's certainly not ultra pasteurized. You have to shake it up before you pour it, because there's cream in it. And it is absolutely delicious. Not too long ago, my sweet daughter, my Binti, Michelle, she brought me milk from the farm that was right out of the cow. And I forgot to shake it. I just poured some in a glass, started drinking. I was like, wow, this is delicious. She cracked up laughing. She says, you didn't shake it. You're getting all the cream. I was like, good, this is delicious, And last week, they didn't have the milk I like to get, so got this other, it's organic milk, but it's ultra pasteurized. And it's got a rotten taste. And I even talked to the guy at the supermarket. I says, it's got a funny taste. He says, yeah, that's the ultra pasteurized. Whatever, he knows something. I don't even want to know. Skip it. 2.5 years ago, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I had a half gallon of this organic but ultra pasteurized milk, and it was maybe half down, so I probably already had it for a week. I came home from the hospital. This milk was in the refrigerator. It's 3 to 4 weeks old. I took it out, smelled it, smelled fine. I poured a little bit, I tasted it. It was fine. And then it hit me. Well, it's ultra pasteurized. It's boiled. There's nothing living in it for it to go bad. As a kid, we'd have milk in the fridge. 3 days, 4 days, it would start curdling. So, the stuff we buy in supermarkets has no nutrition in it. The food supply is shot. When I was a young boy, I grew up, we'd be outside playing all the time. If you got hungry, you would eat off of trees and bushes. We had apple trees all over the place. We had peach trees. We had pear trees. We had cherry trees. My buddy Robert, his grandmother had this big cherry tree. It had the big Bing cherries in it. Off the tree, they were indescribable. We used to play down the brook, just maybe a block and a half away from my house, and there was a row of blackberry bushes, must have been 30 feet long, and You could eat blackberries, you know. There were plum trees. We had, you know, most people had grapevines. Not too long ago, I was at a landscaping place, and I says, "Do you have, you know, grapevine? Can I buy, you know, grapevine?" And he just stared at he just stared at me for a minute, and he says, "People don't buy fruit trees anymore. People don't buy grapevines anymore. Those days are gone." And then, you know, bang, what does that make you think of? Everybody is so busy. They don't plant fruit trees. Their home is not a place to be where you would want fruit trees or berry bushes in your yard. Life has changed so much in such a short time, and almost everyone is completely unaware of it. That, to me, is a sign. You know, Yeshua says, the word says, watch, be watchful, know the signs. Not only the signs in the heavens, but look at the signs. These are signs. People talk about, you know, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, where mostly we see apostasy, and, you know, most people say, oh, the falling away, meaning that people are falling away from belief in our Creator. Truly, what that said, a better English interpretation would be departure, and it is talking about the nechatef, the departure off of the earth, the rapture. But you can take it the other way too. You know, the falling away, people are, it's obvious. Even to the extent of, you know, I know there are many people that go to churches, and their children are going to Bible classes, and they are getting nothing of the Word, nothing of a relationship with Abba, Father, Yahweh, with our Mashiach, Yeshua. Nothing of the indwelling ruach, His Spirit dwelling in us. And by the way, last week I did the video about the fruit of the ruach, and after I finished it, and saw, you know, that whole story about me and my sister that was interjected in 3 or 4 places, that was the ruach speaking through me. I hadn't remembered that story. He nudged me with it, and at the end I looked at it and I says, you know, that part where I didn't plan my words so that His ruach could speak through me, I thought was the most effective part of the whole video in terms of delivering the message. That number one, and also I decided that it is the fruit, singular, of the ruach, not fruits, plural, because in that little moment with my sister when I just looked at her and says, I don't want to fight with you, Patty, I love you. Done, right there. In that little moment, in that short statement, all 9 elements of the fruit came out in order. Love, joy, shalom, on, all the way down through self-control. They all came out like maybe in 1 second, but they did come out in that order. So I believe it is the fruit. The other thing that hit me about last week, and I wanted to share this with you too, is that in the original Aramaic Hebrew, the word for the Father's Spirit, as we always think of it, is ruach, or Holy Spirit. They take that from ruach hakodesh, which would be more like his dedicated spirit. Ruach, spirit. Ha could be of or the. And then Kodesh means dedicated. But it struck me that in Galatians chapter 5, verse 22, it says the fruit of the Ruach is the work which is his presence within us, accomplishing these things. And I thought, that the word presence is the English word they should have used for ruach instead of spirit, because spirit comes from pagan ideologies and false doctrines and things like that. But instead of spirit, the word presence. It's the Father's indwelling presence within us that accomplishes these things through us. Anyway, I digress, but I wanted to make sure I got that out there. So, one of the things that's been hitting me, I've been listening to music from when I was a young boy, and it's just given me this perspective of like, wow, how much has changed in people's lives, and how no one seems to even notice it. They just think everything is normal. You don't spend any time with your children one-on-one. You don't notice that. There's no one-on-one communication going on with people anymore. They don't even talk on the telephone anymore. Telephone calls are like old-fashioned. Now it's all texting. Look at the separation that Satan has created between people over the years. I mean, first, we used to visit. We used to sit down one-on-one and have interchange and see our facial expressions and our hand movements and so on. Then telephones came in, people stopped visiting so much, and they would not see each other, but they would talk. Well, you could hear their voices, you could hear the inflections and their emotions, excitement or sadness, it's all delivered. Now, wash that away and it's all texting without even spelling words out. I mean, it is so impersonal. Satan is taking away love and the exchange that happens between parents and children, friends, relatives, the whole thing. Nobody notices it. They're all just texting. Good grief. And they don't see that as odd. They don't notice that they're not sharing themselves with anyone anymore. I find that very strange. That's odd. It's a sign. 2 Thessalonians. This has been hitting me really strongly the past couple of weeks. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. I think it's verse 11. I'll put it over here. At any rate, it talks about those who refuse to love the truth, and because they refuse to love the truth, Elohim sends them a strong delusion so that they will believe the lie. Some English Bible versions will say a lie or something. That's like very inaccurate because it's very specific. The lie. Now, over decades and decades and decades of time, most teachers have said that the lie is that Yeshua is not the Messiah. And I don't know, maybe the Antichrist is, that being the lie. I don't think, well, certainly that's part of it. But what's been hitting me the past couple of weeks very strongly is that the lie is that we don't exist forever. There is no creator of heaven and earth, and there is no eternity. This life is all there is. I think that is the lie that Satan is delivering to people's hearts. This life is it. This world, what you can get out of this world, this is it, man. Get the best job you can. Doesn't matter who you knock over or hurt getting there. You got to get as much money as you can. You got to get the best house, the best car, all the best, gadgets, the phones and the computers and the iPads, and go on these big vacations. That's what you have to do. That's what it's all about. Get it while you can. I think that is the lie. Believing that what we get out of this lifetime it's it. So get as much as you can. I've never done one of those kind of vacations where, we're going to the Bahamas for a week. I've never done that. My whole life has been a vacation. And if I wanted to go to the Bahamas, I wouldn't book one of those vacations. I would get a flight down there and go live in some village someplace, not in a big hotel. You want to go someplace and see what it's like living there. You go and you live amongst the people, but nobody does that. If you go to the Bahamas, or if you go to Austin, Texas, or if you go to Alaska, it's pretty much the same thing. You're going to stay in that hotel. And you're going to do those programmed forms of recreation and entertainment. And then, I see people go on those. They come home. They need a vacation from the vacation. Seems to me they didn't have a vacation. But the lie is it's all about this world. There's a story in the first covenant about a king. He had an infection in his foot. And Abba said, he never talked to me about it at all. He just went to the physicians. He never looked to Elohim. And he died. People get a physical, something funny going on, man, they run to the doctor. Give me those pills. The doctor gives them pills. They don't want to know what's wrong. They don't want to know maybe if they're living their lives improperly, or, improper activities or diet. Just give me a magic pill and get it done with. They turn to the world. They don't think about him. And it's not only recently, my friends. I saw this as a little boy, where people say, I believe in God, but they don't. They say that because of some experience they get on occasional Sundays or going to some church. I never went to any churches. The first time I went into a Catholic church, I was 8 years old. I tell the story in my book, Road to Paradise. I thought it was weird. And I'm a very unusual person. I've had a very unusual life. Again, if those of you who've read my book, I mean, at the age of 4, I realized, Abba let me remember that I was having regular meetings with my guardian malach, my guardian angel. And I still have that memory very vivid of only one meeting, the last one, laying down on my back in a field, looking up at a beautiful white cumulus cloud. And the malach was in the cloud, telling me that this is our last meeting. We can't meet like this anymore because you're becoming conscious. And I will see you on the other side. That's all. Now, I had many meetings, but I was not allowed to remember any of them. And it wasn't really until I was 7 years old, becoming much more conscious. I always spent a lot of time alone. I liked solitude. Had a lot of friends, but I liked solitude. And when I was 7, the ruach reminded me of that memory. And I thought, wow, I better not let myself forget that. That was something very unusual. I better not forget that. And then I thought, well, if I wasn't allowed to remember all those meetings, why did Abba make sure I remembered that last one? Why did he make sure I knew that I had those meetings? That memory set the stage and changed me for my entire life, because I knew at the age of 4, and certainly confirmed by the age of 7, and never forgot it since then, that on the other side, when I died and I went to heaven or whatever, I was going to meet that malach who said, I will see you again on the other side of this life. So, right off the bat, as a young boy, my sights were always on eternity, not on this world, or the things of this world, or achieving whatever in this life. Quit school when I was 16 years old, growing up in New Jersey. I was 17, I went 3,000 miles away from home out to Los Angeles. And, to me it was exciting. I thought, I'm going to go out in the world and see what Abba has for me to experience in this world. And from that point forward, everything the world had to offer was nothing short of a complete disappointment. Ecclesiastes says there is no satisfaction in this world. And that was confirmed as soon as I went out in the world. I had a lot of fun. I had a great life. I performed on stages all over the place. Audiences, that exchange. I'd write songs, brand new songs, go out on a stage and perform them in front of audiences and see them get engaged with what was going on. And it was wonderful. It was exciting. But in order to do that, as a living in this world, in my lifetime, you had to have a record deal. That you had to have that big money behind you to make it come into being as an income that would support you. And the record companies wanted me, but when I sat down with them, they were wicked, they were liars, and they had ulterior motives that had nothing to do with what I wanted to do. So I just stayed away from it all the time. And by the way, getting back to that word presence instead of spirit as a good English interpretation of ruach, my good friend who, right back then when I was 17, he managed me Mark Palladino, I mentioned him in my book, managed me, produced me. He was my publisher. We're still very good friends to this day. Back then, in the beginning, he was so excited about my artistry, still is to this day. But what he always said about me was, Alan, you have presence. Now, what he saw was when I would perform, he saw what he called presence. How perfect, because what he saw was the Father's indwelling presence coming out. Because when I performed, I would leave. There were many times I'd be performing on stage, I would forget where I was. I would go into the song. I would go into a state of worship of Abba. And his indwelling presence is what would excite the audiences. And Mark Palladino always said, you know, Alan, you have presence. I'm telling you, the English word for ruach should be presence. It's the Father's presence. And the indwelling ruach is the Father's presence dwelling in us. Those who have the Father's presence in them, they're looking out at the world and their life in the world, and they're becoming extremely frustrated and disgusted. I know. I hear you. We want to go home. You know, my whole point is that my entire life, my focus has always been on the other side. And everything I've done was based on, where is this going to get me when I'm on the other side? Not while I'm here. You know, I don't want to be popular. I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be rich. Those are the successes of this life. I don't want that, because that's not my focus. My focus is what my guardian Malach told me. I'll see you on the other side. What's he talking about? We were having meetings. He's setting me up. There's something I'm supposed to achieve, and when I get to the other side, he's going to be there. And I've always had that question of, am I doing what's going to bring me success on the other side? Not here. Who cares about here? What's here? 70, 80, 90 years? Compared to billions of years? Which is bigger? Which is more important? So, Yom Teruah has always been important to me, because especially now, I'm in my 60s. I've done it all. I've lived a full life. I've had a wonderful life. No complaints at all. I've enjoyed every year of it. And I'm not kidding you. Even when 2.5 years ago I went in the hospital, I was in the hospital for 2.5 weeks. They wouldn't let me eat. They wouldn't let me drink. They'd give me a cup of ice, and I was becoming like a heroin addict, only it was ice. Give me the ice. Oh, don't chew it up and swallow it. Just let it. Yeah, right. Leave the room, man. I'm chewing and swallowing ice. I was like starved. I was deprived beyond description. When I came home, my sister made me a meal. I put it in my mouth, and the flavor hit my taste buds, and involuntarily I started weeping. I was deprived big time. But my point is, when I was in the hospital, it was 2.5 weeks. I was enjoying myself. I had a good time. I mean, the doctors said, he's not going to live but 3 months or less. They all thought I was dying. They were treating me like, he's going to die. Give him more morphine. I had to stop them from giving me morphine. Whatever. My point being that, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I will fear no evil because he is with me. His rod and his staff comforts me. It is so true. I was in the valley of the shadow of death. Not one moment, my friends, did I ever experience fear of any kind. I was completely at peace. Couldn't wait to get back home again. And, you know, they wanted to do all kinds of things, and I was like, no, my physician is at my Elohim. Yahweh, my Elohim, Yahweh Echad. We are one. And I turned to him, and they said I was going to be dead in less than 3 months. It's 2.5 years. I think I look pretty good. And it's not like I haven't been battling certain health problems, but skip that. That's between me and Abba. I don't tell anybody anything. My point being, I've had a wonderful life. I love life. I'm telling you, every day of my life, I can't wait to get up every day just to see what I'm going to do next. I'm excited about life. I love life. And yet, 20, 30 years ago, friends in the music business, they would say to me, "Hey, Alan, how's it going?" And I would look at them and I'd say, "Life's great. I can't wait till it ends." And they would crack up laughing, thinking I was cracking a joke. No, I was serious. Life is great. I love life. I can't wait till this ends, because I'm looking at eternity. The Malchut, the kingdom of Elohim, is going to make the most beautiful sunrise, the most beautiful scenic view you can imagine of the sun setting over an ocean, or woodland forest and mountain scenes that, we all love beautiful things, the birds, the flowers. In eternity, everything we know here is beautiful is going to look like a garbage dump in comparison. And there's going to be no end to joy, no more sorrow, no more suffering. People we love who have passed on, we miss them. I miss my Immi, my mother, my dad. I miss them. My dad was my best friend. No one ever loved me more than my mother did. I want to see her again. I want to be with her. There's going to be food, family, food, indescribable food. I mean, the food's not only going to be perfect, our taste buds are going to be glorified. We don't even know what good food tastes like. I want to dip a golden cup into the river of Chai, the river of life, and taste. It's going to be ice cold. It's going to be delicious. No more darkness. No more jerks. No more idiots. No more fools. No more people looking at some rotten billionaire and saying, "Oh, what a wonderful guy he is," and then looking at some street person who has integrity and loves Abba Father, and they think they call him a bum and they kick him. No more injustice. I can't wait. Now, Yom Teruah is coming up. And, every year I pretty much, try and tell you, don't freak out about it, We're going home? How are we going home? Is it this year? Who cares? It's enough to know that one day the Netchatef, the rapture, is going to happen. One day we are going to be in eternity and indescribable joy, happiness, loved ones, food, family, homes, forever. And every day we are one day closer to that, no matter what. Is it this year? Man, I'll tell you, it sure is. It looks, I've never seen it look more right. The blood moon tetrad. This is a big sign. I mean, the last one was the Jews taking back their eternal city, Jerusalem, Yerushalayim. The one before that was the Jews coming back to their homeland. After 2,000 years, there are so many prophecies, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Psalm 83, that for hundreds of years, everybody was saying, oh, those are symbolic, because they don't make any sense to us, therefore they must be symbolic. Well, the Jews came home. Anyway, it was, during a tetrad. They took Jerusalem back and established Jerusalem. Blood moon tetrad. We've got a blood moon tetrad now, and this one is at the same time as a Shemitah, and Shemitah year is a year of berachot, blessings, or curses, judgment. But this one is not just any old Shemitah. This is not just a 7-year period. This is the 7th one of 7. This is a 49-year period, followed by the Jubilee year. This is big judgment going on. And look at how people have turned their back on Elohim. Same-sex marriage. Look at the television shows that are going on. The abortions. They're starting to abort babies just prior to delivery. I mean, it's murder no matter when you do it, but just prior to delivery? Selling body parts? What? Everything is so far gone. And there are those who say that, well, if the Netchatef, the Rapture, isn't this Yom Teruah, then it won't be for another 7 years because, the Shemitah cycles. Well, if it doesn't happen this year, next year I'm going to be just as hopeful, because I don't care what you say. I can't help hoping. They might be right. They might be wrong. I don't know. At any rate, you got all that going on. The blood moons, the Shemitah. This is not just a 7-year thing. This is a 49-year thing. There's big judgment is going to be coming down. I do the news every Tuesday, and it looks to me like we're heading towards the tribulation. At really breakneck speed. So, it really, and by the way, the blood moon thing, there's not another tetrad for 500 years. Look at all the stuff going on, the terrorism, pollution, adulterated, poisonous, non-nutritional food products, overpopulation, political upheavals, religious confusion, rampant and worsening immorality and perversion all over the world. Blasphemies, transgenderism. You could just go on and on. The earthquakes, volcanoes, frightening weather patterns all over the world, fires, tornadoes, hurricanes and droughts, floods. Everything is ramping up. We are definitely heading towards the end of this world system. There's no question about it. So, is it this coming Yom Teruah? I certainly hope so. If it's not, just dig in and trust in Elohim. It's all in His timing. It's not in ours. No one knows the day or the hour. Stay away from date setters. There's a lot of weird stuff going on the internet. Don't let yourself be spending a lot of time surfing the internet. Get focused on His Word. Spend your time with Elohim. It's the most important thing. So, I think that's it, my friends. I just wanted to share, like I said, just take just one video and just do a personal sit down and tell you what's been going on. I just keep seeing how insane the world is, on one hand, and on the other hand, how no one is noticing. Everybody's just going about their business. They don't want to hear the word. A lot of you are telling me, I'm trying to, share my love for Elohim with others, and they hate me for it. Yeah, I have a video. It's called How to Witness. Forget the rest of it. Just type How to Witness, or just type Witness in the search tool on my YouTube channel, and you'll see how to witness something or other. Watch that. You can't share this love because it's the separation of is just getting stronger. Those who love the world, they're becoming more blinded by it. Those who love the Father and His Word, they're turning to Him in stronger ways, and you got oil and vinegar going on. At any rate, I hope. I don't know what I've done with this video, but I hope and I pray that in some way Abba Father's presence has reached out from me to you and touched you in some way that is a beracha to you and to yours. That's what I'm here for, my friends. Abba willing, I'll see you here again next week with a word study. Until then, shalom, my friends.
Now 2,000 years have gone by, it's another working day. Some would rather let it lie, but the question still remains.